I'm Ted from Everything Attachments. This is the new tractor for us. It's about a 10-year-old, maybe a little more than that, New Holland tractor. It's a TL90. It's normally a 90 engine horsepower, 86 PTO. We've turned it up a little bit on the PTO because it's basically the same tractor as a TL100. So we're making a little over 100 horsepower on the PTO right now. This was bush hogged when we first came out. We first started making our first rotary cutters about less than a year ago with our 4-foot. Then we came out with our 5, and when we did our 5-foot, we bush hogged this lot to make a video with. That's been about 7 months ago. Now, in North Carolina, we've had a heck of a winter trying to get through all the rain and all the sub-zero temperatures we had here, breaking records all the time. And then we said we would make some videos quick, and then the next thing we knew, we're down to 100 degrees and drought. So it's the first day we've called. It's still going to be 100 degrees today, but it's the first day we've had in a long time to start out early in the morning. It's going to be raining later, but we're going to get going while it's cool and can get something done before we just die out here. But this is our new 6-foot rotary cutter. And we've done some things because we're a small company and we can't just have 20 different ways of making cutters or sizes, the way we ship and everything. So we just went ahead and made what we wanted for the 6-foot cutter, which is a deep cutter. A lot of them are only 7 inches. This is 9.5. And that gives you a lot more room for your debris, a lot more mulching to happen, a lot less deck damage, and the ability to cut bigger stuff. To make this all work out and come out with the blade height where we wanted, we got Bill Manufacturing, which is who's making our new ripper shanks in the United States. They also make rotary cutter blades. We designed our own rotary cutter blade. We had to buy 1,000 of them at a time to get them just for the 6-foot cutter, but we got what we wanted, and it's a 4-inch wide blade instead of a 3-inch wide blade. Gonna have a lot of centrifugal weight. It's a long blade, so for bigger stuff it should really do good in the big stuff because it's got the weight behind it to cut it instead of fold the blade back. Now the 6-foot cutter, we're only selling it right now, and it's the only way we really intend to sell it, is with a slip clutch. Because tractors that are, this is actually a little large tractor to pull a 6-foot cutter, but it'll do just fine with it. I'm not a big fan of a 7-foot cutter. It just gets so big and it's too hard for me to ship. But a tractor like this will normally have independent PTO, which is just a lever on or off any time. The problem with them is, especially if you're not at an idle, you've got them halfway raised on the throttle or more, when you engage that lever, it can engage pretty hard. And if it engages too hard and you've got a shear bolt instead of a slip clutch, this is going to pop the pin, and you're going to have to work on it before you can go to work. So with the slip clutch, you eliminate all those problems. If he was at full throttle and engages it, it's just going to slip the clutch, catch the blades up to speed, and continue on. If he hits something hard, it's going to do the same thing, just slip and keep going. So we shouldn't have to worry about that. We've got a lot of different wheel adjustments, and so we've got it. We want a pretty close cut here because the next thing we're going to do, we've got 2 box blades sitting over here, our really big one that we call the Beast, and our new up to 125 horsepower with the floating tailgate. So we're going to do both of those after we get some of this grass off this. So we're going to cut it low. That's why we've got that up real high. And you can see the deck's about level, and this is at about a 45-degree angle, so as Peanut goes over the hills and so forth, it'll let the cutter stay down instead of picking it up when this top link gets tight. So we're going to see how this will cut, and we'll go back over it when we get done. Go ahead, Peanut, and go. And we'll do some really rough stuff. We're going to cut just to see how good a cut we get. There is some fairly big stuff in here. It was 2 to 3 inches when we cut it down with our 5-foot cutter. But we're going to find some 3-inch stuff and go through it and just make sure nothing tears up so you can kind of get an idea of what you can do with it. You see, you can hear the blades. The blades will usually be folded up inside there, and when you engage them, they sling them out, and that's where that clutch really helps to let them slip. He's in a little higher gear than he wanted to be. He's gearing down. He needs to really gear down a little more and go up with the horse with the RPM. But the way we've got the fuel on that tractor, he's got plenty of power. Okay, that's something I didn't mention, and something that's very important that you really need to check. When you're leaving this, well, cut the cutter off before I get any closer. I'm gonna let it come down to speed. But when you've got your PTO adjusted at a 45 degree, it's gonna pick up the arms considerably before it starts picking up the back of the cutter, and that's what you want it to do in the field. But when you're picking it up, you need to find out where this spot, every tractor will be a little bit different. Now luckily, Peanut went to full raise, and he's only got about 1 inch between the drive shaft and the deck. And that's something that, so you do it 2 ways. You can take a little bit of the 45 degree out if you're on smooth land, or simply remember when you're on flat land like this, you don't need to lift your cutter 3 feet. Because on the wrong tractor, on the wrong day, and the wrong adjustment, that's going to be your fault, not mine. So it's definitely something to look at, is where your drive shaft and where your deck can almost touch. So you need to either not raise it up quite as much, or let me take a little bit of that 45 out. Set it back down. That drive shaft's about that close to hitting the deck. Set it back down, I'm going to adjust it. Come on down. Okay. All right. Since he doesn't need that much adjustment, I'm just going to tighten it up a little more just to make sure that I'm not going to hit my PTO there. Now we did remove the front shield off of this, and for being around people, roads and things like that, it probably should have been left on, but when you're this far away from a road and you're going to cut some big stuff, it's going to help getting some of the trash and the bigger limbs and trees into that thing to get it cut so it didn't pushing them down and bending the shields. Like it's got a pretty good cut for a bush hog. A rotary cutter will never give you the same type of cut as a finish mower. But a finish mower will never go through this thick of grass or trees or anything like that. So it's a give and take, but that's a pretty good cut to be such rough stuff. Especially a tractor with a loader on it. If you run into some really big stuff, you can put that bucket down a little low like that and push it over before the tractor gets to it. It helps keep your grill clean and stuff and keep all the thatch from getting sucked into the radiator. hard to tell, but he is cutting a lot of 1-inch stuff and some up towards 2. And if he gets to the bottom of what we cut the first time, there's some 3-inch stuff in there. We'll take you to where you know you're going over some big stuff here in a little bit to see what kind of abuse this cutter will take. Because we did put a 1-inch thick solid steel plate directly under the gearbox. So when it's engaged really hard or you hit something, that's the first thing that bends is that plate up on the top of the deck. I don't think any other cutter's using over 3/8 that I know of. You ready to go to something big? Okay, so I'm going to engage the PTO at a low RPM. I'm going to give it up to near full throttle. We're going to clear a little path, and then we're going to take out some of these harder trees. Now I'm going to go in a pretty slow gear. The bigger the stuff, the slower you should go to give it time to go through it instead of just try to go over it real fast. I'm going to make a path around this tree. Well, this tree seems to be in my way first, so I'm just going to take it on out. See how this works. My bucket just a little bit, push these down. All the stuff off of them. See how it likes this cedar tree here. I don't know, those cedars look pretty big. I'm going to go around and take out the little trees behind it. Four-inch blades really help on that big stuff there. So that half-inch blade under that gearbox to keep everything stable. So after cutting the front field with some small trees and brush in it with Peanut in the tractor, we seemed really pleased with that. Had a nice cut, no problem with 1 and 2 inch trees. We went to the back lot, cut some bigger trees down, bigger than really should be cut down with this cutter, but just wanted to see what it would do. And that was really a larger tractor than is meant for that cutter or gearbox. So you wouldn't be going over trees that large commonly. But after our whole line of rotary cutters are complete now, a 4, 5, and 6 foot cutter, we're really happy at Everything Attachments to be entering the rotary cutter line, and hope you'll make all your purchases at Everything Attachments. Give us a call or an email, and we'll be happy to size the right cutter for your tractor.